Good morning. Good afternoon. Lama control sona chance lo Dzogchen Ranyak Patrul Rinpoche ni Jigme tsu deni mi zoni malam chimbo ngajatab bekarta ngam sentu shurmodo tumba tu Dzogchen la solande jagar pension pula gadanchi bemalin ton kolandi ton me tartaron sundu kamans Orgyen Rinpoche la solande Shroman Chukyi inji potong tu son sonji kanjungo ronsen chukunga su tenzip. Zabala manama sorwan debe sosandunga chenda che jinchen yarson me pon shiwa jilasu semchen tanda nyurda danchen na. Tamban nam junin tuzar de su Shonchu sanjo rambo che ma shi ba na shi jir jik. Shiba nyamba meba don kone kon pera shos ayata kuncho sangu deje zava sam zalan tele rongya shoncho sem ngo rongya tuje jangro la shoncho nimbu barda shapsun chu. Oh yeah, we prayed the refugee prayer. We say that in the Sungata of the three roots, the true three jewels, in the bodhicitta nature of the channel, energy and essence, and in the mandala of essential nature, nature expression, and compassion activity. I take refuge until I reach the heart of the enlightenment. And we are studying about the taking refuge. And this is a part of the word of my perfect teacher and the inner preliminary practice. The first part or chapter, how to take refuge. The taking refuge is the foundation stone of all the teachings and paths. And without taking refuge, we cannot receive any vows, any discipline. And there is no discipline, there's no vows. And then it's like there's no path, no kind of the activities. If there's no activities, then there's no achievement. And in order to achieve, good achieve or bad achieve, and we should need activities. And the achievement of the good and the bad, and totally what we act. And then it's like now we are follow Buddha's path, and we want to do or act some positive things. Then it's all the positive things comes from the discipline. But the positive things, activities may be there, but we not acknowledge, we are not accept, or we are not undertake. Then these activities not automatically to come into us. And then we need to act. We need to do. In order to do some positive things, then first we need self-discipline. And self-discipline, it is we call the vows. Like, oh, I want to do. Like a kind of, I self is like I plunge. Or like a promise. I commitment like this. And then there are kind of the different training, or it is a practice, or like actions. And according to the Buddha's teaching, there's Buddha's main teachings. We have 3 categorizations: Vinayana, Sutayana, Abhidhamayanas. According to that, we have discipline, like kind of training process, training, the discipline of the training of the samadhi, the training of wisdom. And if we take this activity, discipline of the vows, then our goal is we become superior person. These teachings and is like kind of our path, which is the second source of refuge, Dharma. It is a very special tool, guideline, and how we can to settle the liberation path. If we need to act, to do liberation ourselves, there is some procedures or the process. And everything is possible according to the essential natures. There is nothing kind of fix it. We see that is the obvious. We really to do something, create something. It's like kind of physically or mentally or verbally it can possible to manifest it. And therefore we need good wish, good attitude. We need good conduct. And we need good speech. Why? Because the good means it's like doing good and the result also good. That is like obviously, that is we can say, you make kindness, it's yourself. It is truth. Really you want to make yourself, you should to do some good things. Otherwise, who can to give you some good things? Very difficult. In the Buddhist perspective, maybe someone give you condition. For example, if we study, maybe teachers, schools, organizations, some necessary things give to us condition. But in order to be learned, wise or scholar, it totally depends on ourselves. Totally. We use this condition, teacher, materials, schools, and we put effort, 100%, we will become a learned scholar. But everything is conditions, fantastic, Parents spend a lot of money, lot of time, good teacher, good school, everything. But we don't study, every day lazy, sleep, late, don't work homework. And then how is the finally result? I think it's not very good. This is the reality, absolutely realities. This is like kind of the good example, I would to say. And Buddha, he said, it's like, if you put faith in me, devotion in me, and you can all the times even act negative, no problem, I can help. He never ever said like this. If you have faith, then you need to listen to me. If you have devotion, you need to listen to me. Why you need to listen to me? I give you some methods, condition. That makes you happy and your freedom, your liberation. Otherwise, how I can to help to you? I saw inconceivable sufferings in this world. It's like kind of if I can do, I want to immediately liberate to them. Impossible. Only I offer to you my methods, how I achieve the freedoms. That if you use 100%, it's like you become the same as me. Because he said, I analyze based fundamentally, physical, mental, verbally, everything's are the same. But we have the way of the different thinking, way of the different acting, then someone is like become happy, someone is suffering. This is also the root. It is not comes from externally, it comes from the inner, our own individual mind. And therefore he gives to us some methods. That is the Dharma. And then it's like if we want to make some benefit, kindness to ourselves, then according to the Buddhist path, we need to listen to the Buddha's teaching. And in order to listen teaching, practice teaching, comprehending the teachings, meditate on the teaching, first times we need to take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And that means you should to have trust. Faith means you're really confident to or in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. If there's no confidence, absolutely it doesn't corresponding Dharma and our minds. And like kind of the different way. Whatever teachers teach you, Buddha what he says, when you hear, if you have doubt, no faith, you have hesitations, then you're in the mind, yeah, oh yeah, what it says. I don't know. This all the time, this kind of, it is like kind of naturally hesitations, critical ideas is coming. That is like kind of, we call says hindrance, obstacle, like a kind of the summons to stop. It's the teaching of Dharma enter into our minds. That is, we need to take care. In order to prevent this kind of obstacle, this sort of the like kind of hesitations, then we need to analyze qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, how it is, if I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, benefit myself, others. Therefore, in these chapters, like approach of the taking refuge, how to take refuge, and also the discipline and qualities. This is like there's 3 headings. And we are in the middle, this heading or the chapters, how to take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha. And yesterday we studied the classification of the particular object of the source of the refuges. There's a 3 root, there's a 3 jewels, and there is also, it's like we can to say it's a channel, energy, essence, or you can to say it's essential nature, nature expression, and compassion. Actually, one pointed, or the single source of refuge is the bodhicitta, or it's like essential nature. That is the yesterday we more to studied. And afterward, substantially, we studied particularly the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Yesterday we are talking about the Buddha means. And Buddha itself, it is like kind of the, has possess of the 5 kayas, and the 4 kayas, 5 wisdoms. And also it is like this is like physical qualities, and then it's like speech, verbally qualities, and mind qualities. Yesterday we are more studied physically qualities about the 4 kayas that you know very well. Maybe today is like we can do a little bit Buddha's mental qualities. And mental qualities, that is probably today I don't need to mention. Yesterday is like physical qualities, and basically Buddha itself has the 2 like kind of the first, of course, we say is the Svabhikaya. It is like the unification of the space and the wisdom. And then it's like the Svabhikayas itself, the 2 aspect, you to say 2 kayas, and like kind of Dharmakaya. And Dharmakaya is like the more the luminosity aspect of the natural space, wisdom aspect. And then is this luminosity aspect, there is the like 2 activities or 2 manifestations. One is like the Sambhogakaya, one is the Namanikaya. And also there is like kind of the Namanikayas. There's 4 type of the Namanikayas. And the superior Namanikaya, the birth Namanikaya, and the art Namanikaya, and multiply the Namanikayas. The multiplied is varieties of the Namanikayas. There's many kind of different forms. It's a particularly benefit for the like ordinary sentient beings. It can be anything, can bring the like kind of the benefit for the happiness to be beings, like a kind of the boats, ship, bridge, and also even the someone's need to resting place. It can to appears, and like kind of the even that you need hot weather, some you need coolness. Sometimes like kind of the Namanikayas can to appear, like you know, like enlightened beings when they apply their own path, like kind of the Shantadeva's book in the Buddhacharyavatara say, like he say, may I become in the future become like this kind of things. If whoever sentient beings needed, like someone need boat, ship, bridge, food, medicinal, whatever necessities for the sentient beings to make peace, to make cool, to make kind of the benefit. May I become. Sometimes it's like they praise, it's all the times when they start like kind of the apply their own path. Therefore, also it's like when we are imitating that, at the moment it's very, very, very important to pray. May I become the benefit for sentient beings. Then it's in the future your activities enlightened. One day you become enlightenment, this life or any times. That moment your activities become large, relevant, benefit for other sentient beings. As you don't need to become like a Buddha of the yourself, Shavaka Buddhas, and to stay like 18 eons, rest, relax. After, it's also you need to come back to this world, need to again apply to the liberations. Like a kind of, it's a little bit some like kind of lazy persons, not really conservative persons, like kind of the more like how do you say, lazy, or it is like kind of for more thinking of the temporary, not kind of the stupidity, but it's like kind of a little bit oh yeah, today is very good, happy, healthy, delicious food. Well, that's all. Do not thinking about the tomorrows, next day, next week, next month. Forget it. Just to focus on the present moment. And then it's coming up the next day, next week, next month is coming. Then the problems. Then we are lamentation sound. Say help. A lot of problems. But it's like a moment. The time is like kind of okay. We never think about futures. Like this, for example, when we are young, very healthy, everything is good, and even someone say, hey, you should to study Dharma, you should to think about a little bit, maybe in the future life or next life, why I need to think like this. At the moment is everything is okay. At the moment it is like not forever. This is not kind of indestructible. This present moment is very fragile, very like kind of changeable. I make shadow. Yesterday I eat lunch with someone, and to went to in the some balconies. First time is started the lunch. Is a very nice sun. Just like kind of 20 minutes is a shadow is arrive. Balcony is full of the shadow. It's like when we are really to care the time is it's a very fast, very quickly. If we ignored our life, okay, and then it's like we don't know how to go in our life. There's certain moment, maybe sick, maybe older age, maybe death process start. That moment when we are like say, oh, now I need to study Dharma, now I need to do something, it's too late. You know, I make kind of take example myself that for example, a few years ago, student, families, doctors, everybody to say, you should take care of your diabetic everything. You have problem eye, you have problem leg, you have problem kidneys, everything. I say, yes. I eat many different things, never take care. And then certainly this year, it's like, maybe you will going to die, maybe 1 month, 2 months, your kidneys last stage. Really? Then start kind of taking care, running. But some is like, some in the perspectively, it's too late. Maybe you need dialysis, you need this, maybe survive, maybe not survive, like kind of risky areas. That moment you need to run in to see the doctor, medicines. It's like this. Before when we have opportunities to take care, everything is a very mindfulness to take. It's not happened like this. Of course, finally we need to go die, but it's the obstacles, onset like time on timers, maybe like a kind of, how do you say, it's like not really like kind of the different times we don't need to die. Of course, it's like the limited life that times. Anyway, you have medicine, doctor, or even the Guru Rinpoche's, they like kind of the long life armata give. It's very difficult to stop to death. But it's like until there is the exhaustions, you prevent obstacle, this sort of. And therefore we need to study a little bit, to learn, to check. That is very important. And then it's like, okay, when we want to study, we should to learn. And yesterday we studied this Kayas. And this physical qualities is Buddha's is like this. Maybe you a little to study. I'm very happy. And today I'm thinking it's a little the mentally qualities. It is that is like kind of the most times wisdoms. And wisdom is like also Buddha's wisdom is like same as our mind is. There's not different. For example, our mind has many different aspects. There is such a kind of different perceptions and thoughts, and enormous thoughts like this. And the same is equivalent of the Buddha's wisdom. Also, there are the like kind of the principally 5 aspect of the wisdoms, and the kind of the basic absolute space like wisdom and so on. And this is like kind of yesterday we said it's like a rough, like a growth of our channel energy and essence. And in this the like a kind of the primordially or in the inherently, it is like kind of the intrinsically. And this itself has the nature and reality. The nature, the reality is like kind of the channel energy essence. And in the relative like growth or the raw of our channel energy and essence, absolutely they are not different. But this is like the essential nature's perspective. It can become the rough growth, like kind of, we would say the contaminated kind of the channel energy and essence. And in this one is like also melted into like purified, that it can become the pure channel energy and essence. That is like kind of the first, this mind at the moment is like the natural expression comes from our like kind of the conceptual minds. And there is a lot of kind of conceptual ideas, confusion, like connect to the disturbing emotions. And there are many like kind of different ugly thoughts, these things, many different things. And that is the also many different thoughts, many different aspects of our minds, and also its qualities of the minds. Same as the Buddha, we is like the 5 our faculties. It is like kind of the combined, like kind of the Buddha as 5 aspects of the wisdoms. And this kind of the wisdom is like extraordinary. It's reality or the nature, the essential nature of the minds. For instance, first wisdom is we call the wisdom of the absolute space. And like a kind of the on like a absolute, the natural expression or natural like kind of the, we say is the space. And that one is like based. Maybe it is like, for instance, for ourselves, we have a mental mind and the like a turmoil mind, like kind of the negative emotion mind. And then it's like there is other consciousness. You can say eye consciousness, nose consciousness, and the ear consciousness, like this sort of. The but is like mental, like kind of the base of our consciousness is like a liar or the mental consciousness. It is like the Buddha's wisdom, compared the Buddha's wisdom is the wisdom of the absolute space. And that is the absolutely realization of the absolute truth, the nature state of the all the things. This is like the fundamental, it's like kind of the wisdoms or the mind we can to say. This is like kind of the dharma dhartuj, also you can to say like this. And that perspective then is the second wisdom, is we call the wisdom of Miralek or Miralek wisdoms. And that one is like very much clearly in the surface, like a mirror reflection, everything's in the wisdom of the absolute truth space, or the absolute space, reflecting everything's of the samsaras and nirvanas, everything's. It's like kind of Buddha says the root of the samsara nirvana is the mindset. It's like this. In the mind is to reflect in everything's, like we can sometimes say the perception of the mind, appearances of the mind. It doesn't matter. This is like reflecting all the samsara and nirvana things, everything's in these wisdoms. Then we at this part we call the Miralek wisdoms. And like kind of the surface of the wisdom of the absolute nature reflect all the phenomena of, as I said, the samsara and nirvanas. And like a kind of this is really is like the indestructible and perfectly clearly reflection. It's like example of the mirror, and like this. And this sort of the part of the mind, it is we call the wisdom. And exactly like this, it's at the moment when we look at our mind is inconceivable. When we look at in the outside, maybe you look the colorful things. There are yellow, green, like red, pink, everything. When we look at them, everything is the colorly, never mixed. Maybe this is like kind of of course perceived by the eye faculties, but faculties cannot to see like this. Really is like kind of the seer is the eye consciousness. Eye consciousness rely on the eye, like kind of mental consciousness. This mental consciousness has these abilities to perceive or reflect on everything. It's a saying like kind of the similarity. But of course the Buddha's wisdom is more advantageous. It is everything is like this. And they're subtle and intrinsic nature is like this. And then third one is we call the equanimity, or the wisdom of the equanimities. And this is an example. There is like everything is reflect on the wisdom of the absolute, this space, like a kind of the surface is like very much clearly, and then is the reflect all the samsara and nirvanas. And simply there's reflection without any concept of the good or bad. That is we call the wisdom of the equanimity qualities. To regard the samsara and nirvana as equal. Regard the samsara and nirvana as equal. And also having as the single mode and one test. This is very important. For example, in the wisdom of the absolute space perspective, samsara and nirvana, there's no different test. There's no different mode and single test. And according to that, also there's the wisdom of the equanimities. And like this. And then it's like the fourth, the wisdom is, we call the like discriminating. The wisdom of the discriminating wisdom is the knowledge that while from the point of view of the absolute nature, all the phenomena, and it is like, of course, in the absolute, this wisdom perspective, and then everything is reflecting all the things of the samsara and nirvanas. And also is that moment, there's the single kind of the mode and single test. That is the equanimities. But that is not kind of the stupidities. It is like kind of the each, like everything is nothing mistake or the mixed. Distinctively, everything is like to appear. That wisdoms we call the discriminating wisdoms. It is like kind of the red is not mixed like in the blue mixed red, samsara mixed, not like this. Everything is distinctively or respectively each individual that you can to see clearly. And this is like kind of discriminating wisdom, what is right, wrong, samsara, nirvanas. But of course, in the main point, in the perspective of the absolute, the natural space, and there is like a single mode, single tested. But, and but in the luminosity, on the relative, in the perspective, there is everything distinctive, discriminate, like kind of the, you can to each individual very colorless to see like this. Distinct, and it is not kind of compound or confused. Everything is like this. And this is like kind of the wisdom of the discriminating wisdom. And then is the last wisdom of the, we call the accomplishment wisdom, or the all accomplishment wisdoms. Like a kind of the doctor, like great educated doctors, who diagnosis is the disease by the taking the patients. Like they want to check the pulse, and then it's like he can to see, he can to how to treat, how could to give medicine remedies, and which kind of disease, everything is knows like this. And therefore, all the accomplishing wisdoms is like kind of the Buddha's, this wisdom is like automatically, naturally, it is like can to like kind of the benefit. Like we would twist the sunlight. Maybe it's like a sunlight. It is very relevant to all, any kind of the vegetations. But maybe it's our normal, if we create some luminosities, maybe some vegetations can take very well, some vegetations hated, they die. But the sunlight is almost every vegetation can to take relevant. Like this is the accomplishment, the wisdom, this is according this power, strength, blessings. It is the like kind of the, of course, and whatever it is like necessaries and Buddha's blessing, or the like kind of the strength to reach, it is like kind of the naturally connection, naturally received. And like this is like accomplishment. For instance, in ourselves right now, we also, this part of we have all the accomplishment wisdoms. Like we are automatically, when we are hungry, when we are thirsty, when we are necessary, we have like kind of the automatically something is doing. And naturally there's a kind of doing ourselves to others. There's automatically you doing something. This kind of you thinking and like doing, and sometimes success, like a sort of there is naturally occurring. For example, we can to say it's like physical, mental, is there's something continuation process. It is something there's like this. With their all the unaccomplished wisdoms, like consider beings as the way to be with they might benefit them naturally, automatically, as can to peer. How to peer like Buddha's like activities. It is like kind of the spontaneously, effortlessly, like there is without change, exertions to those benefit of those sentient beings. That is like kind of the we call the old uncompletion wisdom is like this. This is like kind of the 5 we can choose the wisdoms, and of course if we can to resume into the you can to there's 2 wisdoms. You can to say it's like the condense like kind of the into the 2 nature of all the phenomena, or you can to say the like a kind of the suchness, the wisdom of the suchness, the wisdom of the manyness. You can also to say sometimes the nature of all the phenomena, this wisdom, the knower of the nature of the phenomena, the knows the multiplicity of the phenomena. You can to say like this, but very shortly to say the wisdom of the suchness, wisdom of the manyness. This is like you resume this true insight. And also it's like you can to say it's like single, and like kind of the wisdom it is. This is like, of course, we can to say wisdom of the omniscient and the Buddha's wisdom, like this. For instance, ourselves, also we can to say, of course, there's the principal mind, like main mind. Then it's like a substantial, like kind of the mind, like we say, it's like consciousness, mind, like the mental consciousness, and like there's many till I conscious, blah blah blah. But actually, realities, we have the mental, like kind of mind of the consciousness, and the others is like kind of the branch, kind of the substance, or the like a etc. But conclusion, the root principle, it is the principle, the mental mind. And like this is like kind of the qualities of, we would to say, the mental qualities of the Buddhas. And we need to a little bit more to study how it is the Buddha. Of course, this is like not only the concerning the Buddha Shakyamuni or the Buddhas, and actually also we will have to this kind of the process, if we want to make manifest this all facility, this all qualities, physical Buddha's qualities, without, and we have had, and all the Buddha's mental qualities of the wisdoms also we have, and therefore, and then it's like absolutely the not different in the ultimately. We need to concern a little bit our own kind of the qualities. It's like this. Okay, maybe it's like this is the physical quality, mental quality, and also then it's like Buddha's, we say it's like maybe a little bit talking about activities, like qualities of the activities, this kayas and the wisdoms, how much they have the like kind of the activities. Then these activities, of course, Buddha's be enlightenment. Then it is like kind of the naturally, there is a true things, true goals, complete accomplishment. One goal is own self, in the Rupakaya's perspective, realize the nature, the essential nature realities. And also it's like in the perspective of the others, the luminous perspective itself is the, you can to say is Rupakaya, or the first is Savavikaya, and the second Rupakaya, you can say Dharmakayas, or kind of the form kayas. And that is like kind of the truth comes from the culmination of readings and realizations. Culmination, like kind of the perfections of the readings and the realizations here. Like a kind of the, generally also you can to say the perfect result of the abandonment, and is like kind of the realizations. And realizations like a perfect result is the Buddha himself, he realized the own essential nature, and the Savavikayas, natural, absolute, like in the wisdom perspective, absolute space. And in the others, like kind of the benefit, and also is the we would say it's like the according to the natural its perspective, it is like kind of the result of abandonment, riddance, like kind of the result, and he has like kind of spatial result is a Dharmakayas. It's like the kind of the Rupakaya, and it's like the such a kind of the achievement. Like for example, and this Dharmakaya's perspective, automatically the activity is like benefit for the sentient beings. For example, superior beings, like Nimanikaya's perspective, then it's a Buddha enlightened, it's become the Sambhogakayas. And then it's like in the ordinary, our like kind of the perspective, it can become form of the Nimanikayas. And then it's like this, for the disciple of the Nimanikayas levels, and like enlightened perform and the Sambhogakayas, and then can to help, then like kind of the showing the path, and they bring the liberation state. And then it's like, of course, this is like a kind of the little like higher realizations viewpoint. But in the ordinary, in the six realms sentient beings perspective, they cannot to perceive, or like kind of the Sambhogakayas, and because they have like such obscuration, defilement, and their perspective, they naturally occurring the Nimanikayas. And the Nimanikaya, we already studied this, 4 different types of the Nimanikayas can appear. And then it's like kind of the whoever wants to follow through faith, connect to the Buddhas, then there is appearing like kind of the Buddha's enlightenment, according to like the wish maturation of the Buddhas. Maybe it's like our faith, Buddha's like kind of the prayer, and also power on the enlightened blessings. It's automatically coming. It's kind of the, we have like kind of the, in the karmic, very, very kind of the funny things. Who is like we have the karmic connections. Even it's we can to say it's like in the our human lives, and kind of very kind of the funny things. I make the joke, okay, and one is the Netherlands guy, and he's completely like become the homeless. The beginning, of course, he's a quite rich family, And he all the like passed by the schools. He finished the university. He graduate very high educations, like a graduate and high university. And afterwards, he saw something wrong. He made some business. It doesn't go very well. There is like kind of argue, and like kind of course, he has some friend or girlfriend, and they left, and then it's like he's so much like a kind of the distress, or that like a disaster things happened. And then it's like no anymore interest in this world. Then he's mentally also sick. And then many years, he's young but homeless. He's sleeping on the like kind of the park, train station. And like this is very dirty, slowly, smelling like this. And then is one day, one is like Scandinavia in Sweden. There's one woman, and she came and just to holiday in the Amsterdam, and she is like in the hotel, very expensive, nice hotel. She's very rich, quite is okay, and she's coming holiday in Amsterdam to exercise, and she's eating in the nice in the restaurant in the near the window. She saw that through the window there's like one beggar homeless, and she was so hit disappointment, very sad, how I can to help. And then it's like she automatically bought one sandwich, and she go out and she give to this person. He was is like very happy and say thank you. And then she thought, so what problems? He's like kind of looks like young, and it's like it's this kind of poor as a being, and she has this all the times in the mentally has, and she wanted to side demand to want to everywhere, and she come back, and all he has in the corner is begging. And a few days after, she bought one sandwich and he gave. And then she thought, maybe it's why not? I can give some small jobs to him if he work. I can do help. And she went to there and said, can you work? He says, it's like, are you sick? I'm not. I have mental problems. And I have like this, but maybe if you can to work a little bit. I have in a little small companies in Sudan. I can invite you there is to really your work. And then he says, this is kind of okay. He came and she give job. And then it's like, it's quite works. But then slowly, big involvement. And he became her husband. And then it's certainly, he's like kind of the wake up. He's very, very smart guy. Very intelligent, and of course inner qualities is absolutely. And then it's like he completely changed. And then it's like also he says appreciate my wife, because it's like without her and he's almost going to die. But it's like also it's like she said I appreciate which kind of my past karma. She didn't say karma, but is which kind of we are connections. First, I never ever to think he's become my family. But now is we have like 2 kids, and it's like her company is very large, big, successful. And then of course like this, sometimes our past connections, sometimes prayers is like this. This is just some examples. If we really to have the connections to like maybe in the past put faith, devotion, something to Buddhas, then the activities automatically, naturally to reach it to ours. This is like kind of the how to activities can occur from the physically the body. For example, like kind of the Dharmakayas like a Svavikaya, this natural, you like kind of the self-realized natural, the sensual natures. You absolutely go beyond the samsara nirvana, but you're coding the motivations like a bodhicittas, like a wishes, and there is like kind of the, and also like the meritorious benefit or the result or the prayers, and of course luminosity aspect. You are not kind of belong alone. It's appeared the dharmakaya, rupakayas. It's naturally appearing the, for those viewpoint of the nirmanikayas, it's the sambhogakayas. And wherever nirmanikayas need to great teachers, and there are the sambhogakayas. And then it's like from the sambhogakayas automatically to appear from the rupakaya, dharmakayas, and automatically nirmanikayas, it can to appear in the normal like ordinary sentient beings. It's not necessarily Buddha's like enlightenment, very superior. All the time is like a kind of, we all the time is reincarnation is extraordinary. I'm just in my life, in my village, there is one truku, one reincarnation, and this is very many high lamas, they recognize him, but his activity, worst human activity in this world. He's a robber, he's a killing, he's a stealing, who doing all the times 10 negative actions. But it's we don't know really actually what kind of like when we see, and for example when he's coming to any families, they all the time need take care. He can thief, he can rob, he's manipulate like this. But my family's come, my mother's whatever he needs to take, because he's really reincarnation like many lamas recognize. Of course he never took anything from my family, but ugly doing is everything, but sometimes very much special things. And therefore also sometimes it's like the Namanikayas appeared in our world, even the hunters, even the fishermen, even that there is many ugly things is can to appear in order to benefit for the sentient beings. Like I may make jokes like someone's homeless, that's not a very bad person. We cannot to say, oh, there is a very one criminal, this is a very bad person. We cannot to say that who's bad, who's good, is who's enlightened. This anyway, it's like the Buddha's activities benefit for the sentient beings. There's so many different. Of course, it's like to how to connect. This depends that totally ourselves. There's a connector is the devotion and the faith, trust, interest. No interest, no kind of the devotion, no like kind of the faith. How is the Buddha's can to reach this Buddha's activities cannot to reach. This is like kind of the sunlight. Sunlight is impartially to shine, but some vegetations cannot to receive that. This is exactly like this. And these activities also is like there's like really two connections, and slowly like ordinary like low sentient beings to bring in the like superiors rebirth, higher alamas, and then all the higher alamas to slowly to bring into the lesser beings. Then lesser being become the bodhisattva. Bodhisattvas bring into the like kind of the enlightened, and like this gradual or like kind of sequentially and like naturally to helping and really to follow the Buddha's path and bring to enlightenment. Like this, I think it's maybe everybody's needed coffee, tea to stop. 15 minutes. I have coffee, my coffee. traditional cream.